The Mexican-American War, which lasted from 1846 to 1848, is a large reason why America is as large as it is today. Through this war, the Americans gained over 525,000 square miles, and they only had to pay $15 million for it. That is about 154,000 football fields. This war also left unrest at the border for the decades that followed. The Mexican-American War can be divided into three main parts: the causes, the war itself, and the results. The earliest cause of this war was when Texas gained independence through the Battle of San Jacinto. This occurred in 1936. For the better of the next 10 years, Texas was trying to join the United States, but the president at the time, George Washington, refused because he did not want to add another slave state. Although throughout these 10 years, George Washington and the United States were trying to purchase the California and New Mexico territories, but Mexico kept refusing, thus raising the tension between the two countries. Before we describe some of the key battles in the war, we are going to explain the weaponry that was used. On the American side, cannons, mortars, handguns, knives, swords, and bayonets were used, as well as several other types of guns. The Mexicans used small guns and short swords, which were old and not very reliable. Although there were a lot of new weapons used in this war, the leading cause of death was disease. Throughout the entire war, both armies stayed and lived in very poor living conditions, and about 95% of the 13,000 casualties on the American side were caused by disease. The death totals for the Mexicans is an estimated 25,000, but this is a common estimation put on a rather mysterious number. For one of the most important battles of this war was the Battle of Contreras. The Battle of Contreras occurred on August 19th and August 20th of 1847. This was the battle near the end of the war when the Mexicans were still holding San Antonio strong. This was their capital and their base. After the battle, the Americans moved the Mexican base back to Churubusco, so this is often considered a turning point of the war. Another reason why this is an important battle is because it is one of the greatest showings of military strategy ever. The Mexicans had built their base so it would be very hard to attack. They were surrounded by a dried lava rock field, mountains, and plains. Obviously, they assumed that they would be attacked through the plains because they assumed the lava rock field and mountains were impassable. Knowing this, the U.S. Army under Major General Winfield Scott suffered a trip through the jagged, sharp, and abundant lava rocks with all of their materials and weapons, and successfully attacked the Mexican base. This, as well as other numerous American victories, led the Americans to a victory in the war. The war ended in 1848 when the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. It was ratified by the U.S. Senate 38-14. The treaty resulted in the USA paying Mexico $15 million. But in return for this money, the United States received the Rio Grande boundary for Texas, California, and a large area comprising New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Wyoming and Colorado. This equates to about 525,000 square miles worth of land. All in all, the Mexican-American War was a turning point in American history and a war that will always be looked back upon as a great showing of military tactics, as well as one that resulted in the deaths of many because of disease. By Sam, Josh, Alex, and TJ.